Welcome everybody. Thanks so much for coming along on Easter Monday. I'm sure it's difficult to get out of bed today. But yeah, so today we're going to be talking about fashion e-commerce. So obviously it's a really exciting time for fashion, and it has been for like the last year or two. I mean, the big thing about fashion now is that you're able to converse in it, and it's really benefited fashion because there's great websites like diaboutique.com, and we have the founder here, so if you'd like to welcome her all.
Hi. So I actually will tell you a little bit about me, because I think, as I was explaining earlier, that's a lot about what Dia Boutique stands for. And I'm Lebanese Palestinian, grew up in New York, hence the American accent. Worked in London for about 7 years in finance, and decided that that wasn't the space for me. And decided that I wanted to take a little bit of what I'd learned from my experiences in finance and working all over, with a little bit of the Eastern twist. And so I tried many different venues. An internet site is something that you can do just from your own little backyard. And so we actually started with an internet business. It was much more of a blog at the time. It was a sort of an editorial magazine. And exactly 3 weeks ago, we launched Dia-Boutique as a much more e-commerce friendly, and with a magazine as well. So it's much more of an e-commerce platform. So we have been continually progressing based on what we've been seeing in the market. Like when people come to the fashion part to read about fashion, they really want to be able to access the products as well. So that's been one of the big interesting trends that we've seen with the Dia brand. What we do actually is, you won't know probably any of the brands on the site. They're all sort of very well curated. They're brands from anywhere from a Moroccan in New York to an Indian Kuwaiti based between Delhi and Kuwait, an Indian in Australia to a Palestinian in LA. So it's really just a curated mixture of great designers with unrecognized names, but quite exciting to the marketplace, because it's sort of an alternative branding, all luxury, all high end, but a little bit different than the Stella McCartneys and the Alexander McQueens that we all sort of know and love and find very easily and accessibly in different websites today. Oh yeah, one of the interesting things actually about the designers that we're working with is we actually don't buy stock, which is very different than most e-commerce. Yeah, and even my wardrobe owns their stock, so they're real pure e-tailers. We're actually just a marketplace, so there's the Amazon and then there's the Amazon marketplace. So we're actually more, we bring together the designers and the customers, and we don't own stock. We just act as the marketing voice for designers who might not either have the budgets for it, or the know-how of it, or are just well known in their own market and haven't been able to access different markets. So we don't own any of the stock that we, but we look for designers with a little bit of a twist. Be it, we have one section called limited, and this is like limited products that are either exclusive or sample sales that we either have one of a kind of. And we have a lot of designers like that, because most of them are not the mass production type of designers.
I mean, for someone that might be setting up their own online business, what kind of tips would you give them, kind of in researching and social media and utilizing all those tools?
Well, I mean, the first thing to do is not to spend a lot on a website. I think there's a lot of platforms today where
keep it simple.
You can keep it simple. I do think design is important. I think that, making sure that the design, which is the user interface, the navigation, there's a great, very small book called Don't Make Me Think, and it's a great book about not thinking. Like, you want to come and see a red button that says buy, another button that says change page, or whatever sort of element to putting together a website. So that's like the first thing. And I also believe that there's a lot of instruments today to make it not very expensive to really drive traffic and to bring sales to your site. And I mean, I'm a big fan of using Facebook for that. I mean, our website has something like 10% of the traffic from Facebook alone. And that's not even an ad, that's just a group that we've created where we put pictures and talk about what we're saying. I mean, and about 7% from Twitter as well. So just by being you get. So imagine if you were actively doing on them. Also, there's a much faster knowledge of if you're a good brand or a bad brand, because you can't hide anymore. Like, there's no way for someone, you can get a bad comment on, if not on your own site, on someone else's site, and it will come full circle. And so you really have to make sure that everything you're doing continually maintains a proper interactivity and access to the customers.
And I know that I love to go into the store and like feel the clothes and things like that. So is that the biggest challenge that you find for either online? How do you overcome those kind of challenges to that customer?
I think there's two main ones. The first one is the actual viewing of the product on the site. So the zoom function, the different images you have. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I actually even think it's my wardrobe that they actually hired in a model, a full-time model, because it cost them so much. But people actually really like to see how clothes fall on the body.
Yeah,
and
there's
so
a big discussion at the moment whether it should be flat or on
exactly.
or walking. Or,
yeah, and then, I mean, Net-a-Porter even has video, so you can actually watch a lady or a lady walking across wearing the particular outfit, so you really see the movement. So as much within the technology of the website, again, that all costs a lot of money, so making it as simple as you can, using your lookbook images plus a sort of a very simple image always gives a little bit more information. And the other most important thing is customer service, which is actually the most interesting side of it, because you need to be able to help the customer with all the details of the product. Whether it's, the sizes, is it an 8 UK, is it an 8 US? Is it a small UK 8?
Especially new brands as well, right?
Exactly. And then, can I return it? A lot of people want to buy knowing that they can return it, given that they have no clue about the sizes. So for us, that's actually our biggest hurdle. Because, if you go to Zara, you probably know that you're a medium or a small or an extra small. So you can probably buy something with an 80% confidence that it'll fit you. Might not be exactly what you were expecting, but it'll fit you. On my website, you've probably never heard of the brands. They're probably not even UK sizes. They're maybe not even really US sizes, but kind of mixed and matched, because the designer isn't even it's so established that they really have a real production.
What kind of teams are involved in, like, what's your team like that's involved in online, just having this online business?
We're actually a very small team. There's me, myself, and I, and another me. So no,
that's fantastic compared to when you look at Topshop.
Yeah,
there's like 1,000 people working in the store.
Correct.
Alone.
Correct.
So, yeah. So
yeah. No,
we're a huge benefit.
We're one, which is me, and we've got an e-commerce manager who sort of does everything with the back end, really making sure that the SKUs are right, and the inventory is right, and the colors are right, and that the images are showing right, and which is quite daily work. And then there's one more person who works with me. We both look for designers. We try and do what we call as curating, because
do you research everything? How do you find all these different brands and keep it unique?
What we do is, so you see we have 3 images, and one is their lookbook image. So just to get a little bit of a feeling of how the product is, and then you can see some of our other products. So what we do actually to get our access to these designers is actually really quite fun, because some of it I literally spend like a day just looking up stuff, and it's quite fun. You just sort of start going from one designer, and you find yourself in Australia, and then from Australia I'm back in Morocco, and from Morocco I'm back in Syria, and then from Syria I'm back in the US.
While having a cup of tea in London.
Yeah, while having a cup of tea in London,
Yeah,
exactly.
sure.
So it's quite cool, and then you contact all these designers, and everyone is very keen to be involved in something like this, because it's something very new and very different, and it's an opportunity for them to express their voice. So the way we actually work is we just take a commission on sale. So we don't actually own the stock, and for them it's much more interesting than selling at wholesale price, because they actually get part of the retail margin as well. The other thing is, the way we're looking at it is we're also giving them an alternative distribution method, so that this means that not only can they sell it to their friends or in a sample sale or in a boutique in their own country, they can also try and sell it through DIA. So it becomes allowing them to be able to try and find revenue sources that they might not have had otherwise.